There is a specific moment a lot of people know but almost never name. You have been working on something real, a project, a direction, a plan you are genuinely excited about. Before you have done the first concrete piece of it, something shifts. The urge arrives. You draft an announcement, you hit post. The small reactions come in. Somewhere inside the warmth of those first responses, the urgency to actually do the thing quietly walks out of the room. If that sounds familiar, I want to say something before we go any further. This is not a discipline problem. The people I have watched get caught in this pattern are not lazy. They are often the most invested, most genuinely excited people in the room. They are caught inside something more specific than a character flaw. Until they can see it clearly, they cannot step around it. Here is what I think is actually happening in that moment. When you share a goal before the work is done, something in the brain registers the social approval as a partial version of the achievement itself. Not the full thing, but enough of a signal that the internal pressure eases. That easing is exactly what execution depends on. Research in this area tends to suggest that the brain does not distinguish cleanly between being recognized for progress and actually making it. The social signal lands as a kind of reward. Partial rewards do something uncomfortable. They take the edge off the drive that was pushing you forward. Once that edge is gone, the work becomes harder to return to than it was before you shared it. That edge is the raw material of everything you are planning to build. So the announcement is not the beginning of the work. For many people, it quietly becomes the substitute for it. You feel like you have moved. You have not moved. You have spent the psychological currency that was meant to fund the movement. Think about the last time you worked on something and nobody around you knew about it yet. The quality of attention was different. There was no quiet commentary running in the background, no invisible audience to edit yourself for. You were just inside the problem. That state, unobserved, accountable only to the work itself, is one of the most productive mental conditions a person can enter. It is one of the first things to disappear the moment an audience exists. I have come to distrust the frame that says this is about willpower. Honestly, that framing makes it harder to see clearly. If you keep telling yourself you need more discipline, you keep missing the actual mechanism. The actual mechanism is what you need to see. There is a scene I keep coming back to when I think about this. It is early on a Sunday morning. Someone is sitting at a kitchen table in a quiet house, coffee going cold beside the laptop, working on something nobody in their life knows about yet. The cursor blinks. Outside, the neighborhood is still asleep. An hour passes, then another. 3 pages of real, unpolished, unannounced progress. No notification has arrived. No one has said anything encouraging. That person is further inside their actual work than they have been in months. The absence of an audience is doing something specific for the quality of their thinking. The quiet is not the absence of something. It is a condition the work requires. And I think that is worth saying more directly, because the pressure running in the opposite direction is relentless. We live in an environment where silence reads as stagnation, where not posting feels like not existing, where the people around you seem to be documenting every step of everything they are doing, and your own quiet work feels, by comparison, like it might not be real. That pressure is not imaginary, but it is also not a reliable guide to what actually produces something worth having. Now I want to say something about the desire to share, because I think it usually gets framed wrong. The urge to announce is not a sign that something is broken in you. It is a very human response to the uncertainty of building something real. The middle of any real project is disorienting. You cannot yet see whether it will work. In that fog, reaching for recognition feels like reaching for proof that the effort is real, that you are real, that what you are doing matters. The version of you that hits post is not weak, it is just scared of the dark. That deserves some honesty, and also some compassion.
Here is the way I have come to think about this, and I am not entirely sure I have the cleanest framing yet, but this is where I keep landing. Every time you announce before you have achieved, you pay a tax. Not a financial one, a psychological one. When you go public with a plan before it has produced anything real, you invite into your working life something that was not there before. The weight of other people's expectations, the low-level obligation to keep them updated, and the vulnerability of having publicly staked a claim you have not yet earned. You are now managing not just the work, but the appearance of the work. The energy those two things require draws from the same limited account. That is the trap inside the trap. You think you are building momentum by sharing. You are actually splitting your attention at exactly the moment it most needs to be whole. The energy you spend managing how you look is energy borrowed from the thing you are trying to make. Invisible ambition is not the absence of desire. It is desire that has learned not to need a witness in order to keep going. The people who operate this way are not secretive by nature. They are not playing games or performing a different kind of mystique. They are protecting something specific, the uninterrupted space inside which real work becomes possible. They have learned, usually by losing that space a few too many times, that there is a version of their work that only exists when nobody is watching. They have decided, quietly, that that version is worth more than the early recognition they could have had. That is what winning quietly actually looks like. Not less ambition, not less desire. A different decision about where those things go. Now here is the cost that rarely gets named, and this is the part worth staying with. Imagine someone working on a project for several months. Midway through, a genuinely better approach becomes visible. A different direction, rougher, less presentable, but more honest. The problem is they have already publicly announced the original plan. So the better idea gets shelved to protect the announcement already made. Weeks later, they are still running the first version, performing a plan that was never quite the best one, because the better direction never got the room to breathe. What was lost was not the afternoon spent in the comments. It was an entire second possibility for the work. That is the silent cost. Not the wasted hours, the version that never got tested. I could be wrong about this, but here is where I keep landing. The people who win quietly are not more patient or more stoic than everyone else. They are just more honest about what the work needs from them right now. They have felt this tax arrive enough times to recognize the shape of the invoice. Somewhere along the way, they decided to stop paying it. One small movement. The next time the urge to announce arrives before anything real is finished, try closing the application. Not as a permanent decision, not as a moral stance. Just for today, just for this project, until there is something real to show. Sit with the discomfort of being entirely unobserved a little longer than feels comfortable. Let the urgency of the work fill the space the announcement would have occupied. You may find that working without an audience does not feel the way it sounds from the outside. From the inside, it often feels like the only hour in the day that belongs entirely to you. That feeling is worth protecting. If there is someone in your life who has gone quiet lately, not withdrawn, just quiet, and you sense they are building something, let them build. You will see the work when it is ready. That patience, offered without asking for updates, is its own form of care. If you want to keep walking with this line of thinking, the channel will keep walking with you. What I keep wondering is this. There is a version of you working right now that nobody has applauded yet. Not because you are hiding it, but because it is still being made. The question I do not have a clean answer to, the one worth sitting with, is whether that version, the one in the dark, working without a witness, might be the most real version of you that has ever existed. Let the work be the announcement. Let the results be the only sound you make.